question.
Yeah. And Southwest Airlines.
Check this out. So myself and my group, we testified for a case that was filed recently in the state of Alabama. I want you guys to hear this. This is really important. This is part of the testimony that we gave. You remember when we talked about this fictitious thing known as herd immunity? Oh, wait, it's real until 2020 came and they changed the definition of it. You guys remember herd immunity, right? Okay.
Yes.
Listen to this. Listen to this statistic in Alabama.
Right.
It is estimated that 48% of Alabamans have contracted COVID-19.
Okay.
And survived and recovered. Okay, 48%. Another 1.2 million Alabamans were fully vaccinated. Okay. And 400,000 Alabamans already have partial immunity because of pre-existing T-cell immunity, which is now known that we have that. These numbers establish the state's population has reached herd immunity. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell people is this. We've reached herd immunity. I don't know what else to say. Why we've never ever in the history of the world pushed vaccines on people, number one, that have already, like that 48% that have contracted it. That is not okay. Virologists have come out and literally have come out just recently and said, do not listen to what the CDC says. Dr. Naputi's not saying this, but these virologists, and I'll pull up the data in a second to show you, they're saying, do not listen to the CDC. If you've contracted COVID-19 and survived it, you have no need for getting the vaccine. And there's no data that supports that you do. In fact, it's the contrary. It actually shows that if you've been infected, and you get the jab, you actually have a higher chance of what's called a cytokine storm or a negative reaction, an antibody-induced dependent issue. That's what's happening right now. There was a huge report that just came out that showed, here, I'll pull it up and I'll read it to you guys. But it showed.
Please do if you're looking for it. And this is so important to know because, once again, it's easy to get lost in the media messages that are thrown out there.
Oh, wow.
So I'll give this to Vic so you can have it as well. But this is a report that came out. This is a big, big deal report. And on paragraph 32, 56, and 55.
Before you read that,
go ahead.
People, share the show. 100.7 The Viper.
Absolutely.
Share the show. 100.7 The Viper. This isn't shaming anybody. This isn't trying to come down on anybody. This is sharing education so that we're all informed.
Well, the first thing that this study shows is, number one, I'll read the paragraph. It says, the resurgence in both hospitalization and deaths is dominated by those that have received 2 doses of the vaccine, comprising around 60% to 70% of the wave, respectively. This can be attributed to the high levels of uptake in most age groups at risk. Such immersion fails account. Basically, what it's saying is that the resurgence of waves that we're seeing, 60 to 70% of those people have been fully inoculated. That's a very important statistic to know that. Then if you go and look over here, this is what scares me and what concerns me, and I pray to God that we're wrong on this. I really, truly do. We haven't been wrong about much, but this is what I pray that we're wrong about.
Can I interrupt you one more time?
Please go ahead.
Thank you for your patience. Listener wanted us to let you know that we have already been kicked off YouTube as soon as you came on.
Yeah, that is not surprising.
If people are trying to stop information from being sent out, let that tell you what it really means. Thanks, Doc.
I mean, think about this. You guys, these are medical journals.
Correct.
Why does the federal government have a problem with doctors getting on television or radio reciting medical journals? Why is that the case? Somebody explain that to me, how it's okay. And the fact that they're suppressing that, don't you think that there's a problem there? I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, this graph right here clearly shows that people who are fully inoculated and have had COVID-19 are at a higher risk of more problems. We talked about this. This is the same thing that happened in early 2002 whenever they tried to make a SARS-CoV-1 mRNA virus vaccine. The ferrets died. They couldn't even get it to the people. Remember we talked about that last year? Well, guess what? The data is showing that's the case. I mean, study after study after study is showing this. I don't care what people do. I just care that people have an opportunity to choose their options. It's a law called informed consent, by the way.
And, Dr. Naputi, recently, I've been hearing a lot about it this morning even. You've been saying on this show forever that once you have COVID, what I call the magic blood, you have natural antibodies built up in your system that you are much more protected than if you receive the vaccine, because we all know if you've got the vaccine, you can still become infected. You can still transmit the virus. If you have natural antibodies, you cannot become infected. You cannot transmit the virus. And guess what? Now I am hearing it being reported across the nation, perhaps across the world, that it is true that our bodies have these natural T cell memory cells, and we are superior to people that have been vaccinated.
Well, Tabitha, on May 27th of 2021, this is May 27th, 2021, John Hopkins professor says, and I quote, "Ignore the CDC, natural immunity works." Here's what he said. A professor at Hopkins University, John Hopkins, which is one of the facilities where people are getting their information of numbers of deaths and all this stuff that's going on. He says, okay, here's what he says. This is Dr. Marty McKay, McCary, M-A-K-A-R-Y, McCary. He says right now that 80 to 85% of Americans are currently protected from the virus. This is well past herd immunity. And here's what he says, and I quote, "I never thought I'd say this, but please ignore the CDC guidance." Dr. McCurry states, advising Americans to, quote unquote, live a normal life unless you are unvaccinated and do not have the infection, in which case you need to be careful if you're in a high compromised position, being over the age of 74.
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about the death rate that we have that we're looking at right now? Vic brought up a great point earlier. We're literally 1 point, maybe even less than 1 point over last year to date.
Well, I can't wait to have him explain that.
I had to relook at that. That can't be right. I mean, 500,000 unique deaths to COVID and 3 million worldwide, and we're only 1 point over.
I mean, these numbers come from they're from the United States CDC's numbers.
Wait a second. Can you introduce this from the start to let people know what exactly you gave us and why this is so just shocking, what Eric brings up?
So first of all, let me say this really clearly. Every year, so in 2018, for example, what happens is the CDC looks at and HHS look at all the death certificates, and they compile the death certificates and they say, here's what people died from. So 2018, in January of 2019, by the end of 2019, they give that report out where they say total deaths, what they died from, etc.
Okay.
And then in 2019, they do the same thing in early 2020. Well, guess when the provisional? Do you know what provisional means? No. Provisional doesn't mean final. It means provisional. It means we're looking at it. We got to get something out there. We haven't gone through all the data enough yet, but here's the provisional numbers. Do you know when they came out? They came out this month. They came out almost 6 months into this year.
Okay.
Well, that makes no sense.
We talked about it every month. They still haven't given us the numbers.
You still cannot find all the true data. But if you go right now, I'm going to tell everybody go to this website. Go to macrotrends.net, macrotrends.net, macrotrends.net. Go there and look up the statistical death rates, the percentages of increases. Now, I will tell you that if you go and you look on some of the sites like HHS and CDC, some of the papers that have been written, like Reuters and et cetera, they will say that the death rate is up like 15%. But that's not what the numbers jive with. So I will tell you this, the lawsuit that was filed in federal court.
Right.
When you file a lawsuit in federal court, I mean, you have to swear on oath. You have to, as a doctor and as a lawyer, you cannot make stuff up. I mean, that's perjury, which, by the way, Tony Fauci knows a lot about that right now because he perjured himself in front of Rand Paul the other day. And Rand Paul came out and said Fauci absolutely perjured himself, lied about the funding of the Wuhan lab. If you go and look at the growth percentages of 2018, so let's start at 2017. It says the growth rate of death was 1.2%. 2018 was 1.22%. 2019 was 1.2%. 2020 was 1.2%. Those numbers don't jive with what we're hearing. So when we go and we get this data, now I pull this up and I look at the 2020 deaths.
Yes.
It says total deaths 2020, 3,358,814 is what they're saying. And they're saying that total deaths in 2019 was 838.
Right.
These numbers are not jiving.
Okay, so
wait a second.
Isn't there
CDC? Here's what he just said. The CDC is stating that there were approximately 2 million more deaths in 2020.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Around that.
Yeah.
But then the growth rate of deaths is coming from where, Dr. Pudi?
So the site that the growth rate is on is here. I'll pull it up again.
So you put
it's macrotrends.net. But this is where people get their data from. Like so there's a doctor in Canada right now, and Danae Roundcourt, and he is all over Canada because he's an epidemiologist, and he came out and said, listen, there's not been more deaths in Canada in 2020 than there were in 2019. Now, listen, we don't have 100% of the data. What I'm saying is it's very confusing. And what they're doing is they're confusing us on purpose. Don't you think it should be real simple? You should be able to just Google deaths, and it should be able to show the data's percent growth rates and everything, but it's not there. Why is it not there? And I think that's something that we should be looking into, and that's what we brought up with the court case, because when we're looking at the deaths and causes of deaths, like if you look at March 31, 2021, leading cause of death of 2020, and you look at the actual data and the trending and everything that's there, it shows, again, number 1 cause of death, heart disease, number 2 cause of death, cancer, number 3 cause of death, COVID-19. It says in 2020, 345,323 people died of COVID-19 in 2020.
Of COVID-19.
That's what they're saying, of or with, right?
The with is very important.
It is, because remember, they changed the death certificate, the ability to write a death certificate. Did you know that if you die in an area, like if you pass away and you die and you live in an area where coughs and sneezes are higher or COVID density is higher, that a doctor can literally put on the death certificate COVID-19 as one of the deaths, and that goes towards that? I mean,
but no one dies of COVID by itself. Just no one dies of Eric. No one dies of COVID. No one dies of the flu.
Come
People
on,
die
Dr.
of
Naputi, help me out over here.
complications.
Well,
I'm not disagreeing with Dr. Naputi. I'm just saying there is. I would be shocked
you
if
can't say
anyone
stuff
died
like
of
that.
Tabitha's
COVID.
right. Hold on, we're both right, because that's what's wrong. It's so confusing. Even the CDC came out and said, all right, 94% of deaths in 2020 and 94% of deaths of all COVID-19 are people that had 3 or more pre-existing other underlying issues. 3, not 2.5, 3.
And the COVID exacerbates those conditions, and people die of those.
Okay, stop.
comorbidities.
Okay, wait a minute.
But one more thing, and then Eric, I promise I'll let you hit it. But the thing that most people die from, when they die from COVID-19, with it is pneumonia-like, flu-like illness, which is typically
Like
a
the flu.
cytokine storm. Tabitha's right, like a flu. And normally in America, anywhere between 30,000 and 70,000 people a year die from the flu, except for in 2020, when there was literally hardly any deaths of the flu in 2020, like 100 something.
And the only reason I push back against Tabitha is because on this show we do try to try to get it in the net. I think there
Eric,
are.
no one
hold
dies
on.
of COVID by itself.
Chill.
COVID
out.
is not a
Take
disease.
Take a breath. Take a breath. I do think that people do get this disease. It was a nouveau disease. It was brand new. The human body didn't understand what it was dealing with. And there were people, not with complications, but were trying to deal with this. And like Dr. Naputi said, go into this cytokine storm, which it did not
Absolutely.
know how to deal with this thing. And maybe that's how they died, which might have been a little different than getting the flu.
But they still
That's
didn't
all I'm
die of
saying.
COVID, is my point. You're right. People definitely died
So-
because they got COVID, but it was because the COVID got the cytokine storm,
Yes, right.
or it caused
Correct.
them to have fluid in their
Yes.
lungs or blood clots or
so if we could
whatever.
prevent the cytokine storm, that would be a very good thing, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay, well, guess what? We know one of the main mitigating factors of the cytokine storm is if you have low vitamin D in your system. We know that. There's
Bingo.
multiple, but here's the thing. The federal government won't let me tell you that you can take vitamin D. So I'm not telling you, if you go and get vitamin D, Dr. Naputi didn't tell you to, and I definitely didn't tell you to go get vitamin D from my website, which I'm giving away for free. The federal government doesn't want us to do that because the cytokine storm is killing people. And the number one mitigating factor, according to the data and research on scientific papers, is low vitamin D. But let me be really clear. I did not say vitamin D prevents, cures, or mitigates COVID-19 because according to the federal government, who are bureaucrats, not doctors. By the way, Tony Fauci, how many patients have you seen in the last 50 years? Oh, 0. You know how many people that patients of ours that died from COVID-19 in 2020? Oh, same number, 0. Yeah. But I can't legally tell you that, just so you know, because that's the world we live in. So just so we're clear, Dr. Naputi did not say COVID-19 can be cured by D, zinc, and everything else. I never said that.
I am
Just FYI.
I am all over vitamin D and zinc and vitamin C for over a year. I've never been more healthy in my life. So let that be what it may.
And ivermectin.
I haven't taken any.
You know what though?
ivermectin.
I know, and you're right.
I haven't needed it.
and you didn't need it. But they just released a report which I posted on my Facebook page that ivermectin has single-handedly almost ended the pandemic we're seeing in India.
Stop.
Can we talk about India? Can we
Yes,
talk about
please.
India? Can we talk about it?
Eric,
so let me
I
tell
posted it on my Facebook page.
She's right. She's
Is
right.
that correct?
It
Yes,
is.
it is
But-
correct.
Okay, it's not just that, but let me tell you something. Do you know when India? Okay, every week I am on a call with anywhere
gotta
between
look that up.
50 and 100 doctors from different countries around the world. And India has been on there the last 3 weeks in a row screaming, what you're seeing on the news is not happening in India. What you're seeing on the news is not happening in India. And by the way, India and Cambodia, neither one of them had deaths piling up until, and maybe it's correlative, not causative, maybe it's coincidence, not a cause, but until they started mass vaccinations of people, then the people started dying. Guess which people started dying? The death rates are in the highly affluent and middle-class people. People that are living in the slums, people that are living in filth and stench, and people that are living in leper colonies are not dying of COVID-19 in India. Only middle-class and upper-class people are. There's a definite coincidence there between that and getting mass vaccinations in India and Cambodia. Look it up. It's a fact. The problem is most people don't know how to read, and that's the issue.
Damn, I did just look it up, and Tabitha was right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I
You
wouldn't
hadn't
say
seen
it if I
yet.
didn't
You
know.
wanna- Eric, you wanna
I
know
don't
why
pull
it's
stuff
not
out
on
of
the
my
news?
hat and
but
talk
it's
about
being
it.
suppressed, Eric, because it doesn't match up nationally.
No, it's not just
or
because of that.
internationally.
It's not just because it doesn't match up. It does not match up. But again, the reason why is this. It's money, 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 money,
Yes.
money. And here it is. If there is an alternative treatment to COVID-19, something that could prevent, treat, or reduce infection rate, severity of it, and death rates, the vaccine cannot get approved as a licensed drug. It is an experimental drug right now under the EUA. It cannot be licensed. If there's 17 criteria, they have to check off all 17 points. And if ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, zinc D, all the other stuff, convalescent blood, plasma, if that gets approved as a treatment, guess what happens to the vaccine? It
Bye-bye.
goes down the toilet.
It goes away.
And the American public, do you know how much money we've already invested in this? Trillions of dollars. Trillions. You want to see egg on people's face? Watch this get flushed down the toilet. That's why they're not talking about this.
But where do you think this goes now, Doc? Because with so many people in positions of power that have invested that kind of money,
Where do I think it goes?
It's the
I mean,
vaccine isn't going anywhere.
Well, look
though.
at no. Of course it's not. No, it's not. They're trying to jam it.
The boosters are coming.
Yeah. Did you see the data? It shows that you need to get Here's by the way what the data shows. If you get the injections, you're going to need a booster. They're not sure yet if it's going to be 6 months, 9 months, or every 12 months. But then the data comes out that looks at plasma and bone marrow that shows that if somebody actually got it naturally, that they're going to have immunity. Some people might have it for life.
For life.
For life of a disease that has a 99.97% to point.
Is it the same kind of
survivability rate.
immunity that you have from the flu, Dr. Naputi? Like just saying if you have the flu, if you get it 5 years later, your body knows what to do with it,
Well,
that kind of immunity?
It's very similar. Remember there's 7 coronaviruses that we know about. 7. 4 of them affect humans. 3 of them are it's 52% of all respiratory infections that happen, and 20% of all flu-like illnesses come from a coronavirus. So we know about coronaviruses. This injection that we have does not go and attack the coronavirus. The injection goes and attacks the spike protein, which, by the way, there are 3 proteins. It only attacks 1. So I'm a little confused by that. And then there's also all this data out. I don't know if you guys saw the data. March 17th, or what month are we in? May 17th, the vaccine adverse reactions reporting system, which by the way, that is put into place by CDC and HHS as a first line defense system of if there's a problem.
Yeah.
Which is why we stopped the swine flu back in the 1970s. We
Okay.
stopped it after 53 people died. Well, as of May 17th, 4,000 plus people have died.
And how did the swine flu eventually get kicked?
It just went away.
It just went
Do you know
away.
what people did in the 70s during swine flu?
No.
They went to Woodstock.
So
didn't change
building
anything.
herd immunity against it,
We
correct?
already, and we have it. But remember, that was when herd immunity was defined as 50 to 60% of the population getting exposed to and or inoculated for a virus. Now, last year, they changed the goalpost. They changed, and Fauci and his people changed the definition of herd immunity. It says that you have to be 70% of the population has to be injected. They're not even talking about natural immunity anymore. That's not even on the table anymore.
What do you mean injected?
Well, they have to get a vaccine. That's what they're saying. They say you cannot have immunity unless you have a vaccine, which is completely bogus
What
and wrong.
did herd immunity used to mean?
Herd immunity used to mean and it still does mean. It has just because they changed the words
yeah.
doesn't mean that it's still not the same. It originally was 57% of the population. Herd immunity's been around since the 1930s, even a little earlier than that. It used to be 57% of the population was either exposed or inoculated, which means injected with a vaccine. Yeah. And then we're good, herd immunity. But then last year in the spring of 2020, they changed the definition to fit their narrative to say, oh, it has nothing to do with natural immunity and everything to do with getting injected, getting the vaccine. There's no other way to do that. And again, the only way that they would, like I said this from the beginning, if they knew this thing was, and I'm speculating here, I think the truth is going to come out. It's coming out very soon. But if this was a man-made virus, which all the data is pointing towards it was, and utilized as a weapon, then they should have just came out and said, hey, listen, here's the deal. It's a weapon. We're really scared of what's happening. And this is the antidote instead of an injection.
But the leader is Fauci, who was a part of it, so he can't do that.
Well, but here's the deal,
The lab was right there. He's connected to the lab.
Well, not only is he connected, I don't know if you saw this, when Rand Paul was interviewed on Real America's Voice, which I love Real America's Voice. I've been on there a lot. It's a great place. He said, Rand Paul was asked, did Fauci lie? He said, absolutely, he lied to the American people. There was a gain-of-function research going on with Dr. Shi Zhengli at Wuhan Institute that Fauci talked about. In her paper, in this doctor's paper that was doing the research, let me tell you what she said. This is what Rand Paul said, and he's got the documents because it was a FOIA request. She actually thanked Dr. Fauci and the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, which is part of the National Institute of Health Dr. Fauci runs, for funding the project. I don't know how much more black and white you can get. The American public has been lied to, and there was a gain-of-function testing that was done, and it was done in Wuhan, China. And right now, they're reopen investigations, because the first investigation that they did, there was a guy by the name of Peter Dusek. Tony Fauci and his institute gave Dusek and his institute money, and then Dusek's institute went and did the gain-of-function research in Wuhan, China, because it became illegal in the United States to do that. So Fauci then says in front of...
From President Obama.
From Obama. Fauci says in front of Senate, in front of the Rand Paul, and in front of the American public, we did not fund gain-of-function studies in Wuhan, China. Well, he technically didn't. He gave money to Peter Dusek, and Peter Dusek funded it. So that'd be like me giving Eric, a gun. Hypothetical, okay? Hypothetical, because I know Eric's a really pro-gun guy.
A tranquilizer
gun. And Eric goes and tranquilizes somebody. And if that gun gets come back to me, then I could be held liable for that.
Yeah.
It's pretty common sense.
Yeah,
man,
like an underage person paying me to go get them alcohol.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But that's what that doctor said in their work.
Let me ask you this. How much more dangerous is this virus, in your opinion, because it was made in a lab versus it being from a bat in a cave somewhere?
Well, the chances of it being from a bat in a cave somewhere are minuscule anyway. I mean, and we've said that for over a year. But here's what the concern that people has, Eric, is here's what they say. They say, well, what about the variants? Because that's what scares people. Right now they're talking about the India variant. Is that India variant coming? Well, when we come back after a break, we're going to talk about that. But really, I want to explain that the drift, what's called the drift, which is difference between one virus to the other, the drift is not big enough to cause a variant to have bigger issues. And nobody's talking about that publicly. So we come back, we can have that discussion if you want.
Yeah, we will. But you don't want to go anywhere. We're going to continue to talk about that. If you have something you want to bring up, feel free to do that as well. Lots to talk about, going very fast. The fastest 2 hours of radio in the morning. Dr. Naputi joining us today from the Naputi Wellness Center. Check out his website, ericnaputi.com, ericnaputi.com. Eric Johnson, Chris Knight, and Tabitha Hassell here. I'm Vic Faust of Fox 2. Backward at the more of the edge right after this. It's 9 this May 28th.
Grab your coffee. The Morning Edge will be right back on 100.7 The Viper.
Travers Automotive and RV is open at their newest location, I-70 at TR Hughes, with an awesome selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Travers Automotive and RV has Ford, Chevy, Ram, Lexus, BMW, Dodge, and Nissan, as well as new RVs from Mesa Ridge and Open Range, and a huge selection of used RVs. Travers Automotive and RV has the largest inventory of lifted truck and Jeep Wrangler in the market. Travers Automotive and RV in their newest location, I-70 at TR Hughes. Online at traversautoandrv.com.
All right, is that a Q2 or Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went MIA. To keep his books and his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, Johnny, Have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Whether you're a pro on the job site or managing properties, clean and safe is your #1 priority. And Lowe's has the pro-grade cleaning supplies you need. We go beyond the basics, bringing you commercial cleaning from top brands like Clorox, Zep, and Rubbermaid. And in larger sizes, so you can take on any cleaning job, knowing you have the quantity you need. Shop Lowe'sForPros.com and have your items delivered, or pick up in store. Lowe's, the new home for pros. U.S. only.
If you or your children are experiencing fear or anxiety due to the COVID crisis, we are here for you. Compass Health Network, in partnership with Show Me Hope, a federally funded crisis counseling program, have counselors available to talk with you 24/7. If you've experienced the loss of a family member, loss of a job, or are stressed by day-to-day life, you're not alone and we can help. Call our 24-hour mental health crisis line to speak with one of our counselors. 888-237-4567. Compass Health Network. We're here for you.
Midnight Auto Supply in St. Peters carries a full line of automotive parts and paints. They're a PPG Platinum distributor of automotive paint and industrial coatings and auto body shop supplies. For over 40 years, your hometown auto parts store is Midnight Auto. Stop in at Midnight Auto Supply in St. Peters, just off Mexico Road, 447-4000, 447-4000, on the web at mid-niteautosupply.com.
Chances are right now you have a chip or small crack in your windshield, and no matter how much you try to ignore it, it's only going to get worse. Spectrum Glass is the area's leader for both home and auto glass repair and replacement, and Spectrum Glass will come to you, meaning minimal disruption to your busy schedule. They're insurance approved and handle all the paperwork. Look, it's not going to go away, so call Spectrum Glass today at 636-294-1800. Spectrum Glass, 636-294-1800.
Life can change quickly when this happens. When things go sideways, you'll need someone to help handle it. My name is Derek Barker, and I own the Barker Agency. At my office, we spend our days getting folks protection built specifically for them, making your care our top priority. From cars to motorcycles, ATVs to boats, if you can ride it, we can cover it. Even the home you own or the place you rent. You need to make sure you're covered so when this happens, you're not left out in the rain. Without the right protection, it only takes a few seconds for your life to change drastically. And it only takes a few minutes to pick up the phone and speak with a member of my team to make sure you're protected correctly when it does. Call the Barker Agency at 866-D-BARKER or stop by the office at 935 Waterbury Falls Drive in O'Fallon. Make sure to let us know you heard me on the Viper.
Hey, this is Tabitha. I just want to give a quick shout out to Rankin Technical College. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to speak with Frank Miller. He's the Dean of Enrollment out there at Rankin. And next week, they are hosting a virtual open house. And if you listened to the show yesterday, you'll know that within just 9 months to 2 years, you could be in a new career earning up to $60,000 a year upon graduation. If you want to open and register for the open house next week, you can register now at rankin.edu. The open house is June the 5th. When you register, you will also be registered into a $500 scholarship raffle. Just use the promo code OPENHOUSE to receive a $100 tuition credit. Again, that's rankin.edu.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/find. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/find. That's ZipRecruiter.com/find. ZipRecruiter.com/find.
Here comes more of the Edge Morning Show.
Hey, welcome back to The Edge, the one and only Edge with Eric Johnson, Chris Knight, and Tabitha Hassell. I'm Vic Faust of Fox 2, separating fact from fiction, the fastest 2 hours of morning radio. By the way, share the show as always. We love it. 100.7 The Viper. Once again, 100.7 The Viper. Dr. Eric Naputi, it's always a special time when we get the doc in studio to talk about what's real, what's not, what's actually happening, and just try to educate us all about what's out there, because Doc, it's in his life, it's in his profession, and he's doing it all the time. He's actually spending the time researching, and that's what you get. EricNaputi.com, EricNaputi.com. We've got so many questions too, Eric. You said you were just rolling.
I can't even keep up with the questions on the Facebook, but
we had to take a quick break. But before we went, Dr. Naputi teased ahead to, the subject that we were kind of interrupted about when we came on.
About variants?
About the variants.
So, okay, huge data research that just came out. It was almost a month ago now. And it was a virologist talking about and you guys can go to our site, go to ericnaputi.com. That information is there. It gets suppressed, just like, when we're on YouTube and we're on this stuff, it gets shut down because there literally truly is an effort to suppress information. I guess they don't think you're smart enough to make up your own decision. But what the data showed was that something called drift. Viral drift means when you have a virus mutate, when it goes from one person to the next or one region to the other, there's always a mutation. We talked about that. Remember, 45% of human DNA is viral. It's our microbiome. We need that to adapt. The research has shown that kids that get chickenpox when they get older, or when they're younger, have a less risk of certain cancers like leukemia and other, because it helps improve the immune system. So 45% of our human DNA is viral in nature. What this virologist came out and said, and this is out of Stanford, they said that there's not enough viral drift, which means it doesn't change from one to the other. It's like 0.3% of a change from one virus to the next, which is not enough to cause, like Eric was saying, like, hey, if I get the flu, and I get the flu every year, remember, the flu vaccine is not that effective, and they guess on it, right? I mean, that's what they do. They look at like what's happened in Australia, because usually the flu goes to Australia, then to America, and they go, hey, there's 3 or 4 types of viral strands. We're going to pick 2 of them and assume that that's the vaccine we're going to make, and roll the dice, and hopefully we're good. It's an educated guess, but it's still a guess, which is why a lot of times you'll hear on the news reported the flu shot was only 15% successful this year, or 20% successful, or whatever that may be. It's not because of the variants changed so much. It's because, well, the vaccine, it's a guess. So at the end of the day, it's just like the germ theory originally stated. It's not just exposure to the pathogen, virus or bug. It's the strength of the host immune system. The healthier your immune system is, the less chances of problems that you've got. And that's one thing that just bothers me to no end. We still have not been publicly talking about, why don't we just work on getting Americans healthier? Why don't we just focus on getting people less sick? Why don't we focus on improving the immune system? Why don't we talk about things that can reduce cytokine storms, improve T cell and B cell function, which is what natural immunity does. It's memory B cells. And there are certain nutrients that your body must have in them to produce that stuff. Why we don't have those discussions is beyond me, and that's why we're still dealing with what we're dealing with.
So, yeah, I think that there's just so many questions going on right now. Do you want to talk the politics of this thing? Because
it's all politics.
I know, because I think that in the next not too distant future, we're going to know that this thing was funded. It came out of Wuhan. What happens when the Chinese go, guess what, guys? You guys want to attack us? Your own U.S. government was helping fund this thing, so before you look at us, you better start looking inside. What do you think the politics of that are going to be? It's going to be a speculation on your part, but what do you think?
It's a total speculation. I think it could go multiple ways. I mean, my thoughts is this, because human psychology is everybody needs a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? And what we know is that there are certain things that actually can cause a change in a society that can bring people together. And one of them is it's an invasion, or it's a war or something that brings people together. I mean, look what happened in Syria or look what happened in Israel. They all came together. The Israel people came together to fight against an enemy. Okay, so that's one thing that could happen. Eric, I hope to God we don't have war. I think what we're seeing right now, I believe right now what we're seeing is we're seeing a revolution happen right now.
Yeah, but where?
I think we're fighting with pins and mouths than we are with bullets and muskets. I don't know what's going to happen, but something has to happen because more and more of the American population are waking up going, wait a minute. Okay, you lied about the mask. You lied about social distancing. You lied about this. What else are you lying about? I mean, how many times do you have to catch somebody? Like, let me ask you a question.
The Wuhan lab is a big one for people.
It's a big
I'm
deal.
noticing that. I didn't see people changing with the mask as much, but the fact that now we're going, oh, maybe something was created on purpose. That's where I'm starting to see some people come, Eric.
If somebody lies, can we agree that they're a liar if somebody lies? I mean, if somebody lies to you, they are a liar. And so Fauci's a liar. The CDC's a liar. They've lied about multiple things. And if somebody says that I just told a white lie or a noble is what he said. I told a noble lie. That's what Fauci said. I told a noble lie to get people to do something. What? That's still a lie. So at some point, people have to go, wait a minute. It's my decision. I mean, you guys, let's think about this. Do you really want the federal government to tell you what to do with everything in your life, especially for your health?
Yeah.
Come on. I just saw a really disturbing video the other day that you guys know, what's his first name? I forget his first name. Farrakhan. He's the leader of the nation of leader of the Nation of Islam.
Correct.
And he was talking about Alan Dershowitz's video that he said. Dershowitz came out and said, hey, if the federal government says that it's public policy for health for you to get a needle plunged in your arm, that you have the duty to do it, and the federal government has the ability to do that to you without your consent. You know what Farrakhan said? If they come to our neighborhoods and do that, he literally said, get your guns ready because we're coming after you. That is a declaration of war. That's what he said. And I'm not agreeing with him, but that's what he said. And at some level, it's going to come to that. I mean, what about...
And it knows no color either, by the way.
Of course not. No, that's the stupidest thing that's out there. The only people that are perpetuating race are race baiters, and they're all over the TV every day.
I do think you're right. I think we are in a revolution. We are. But it's not the hey, look at the uniform you're wearing, and oh, look at the uniform. This is like an ether kind of revolution. It's like, where do I live? I live in New York. Well, I'm moving to Texas. You know, people, it's like an ideology revolution. It's like you said, the pen and the paper. No, it's not the pen and the paper. It's digital media. It's social media. And if you think about Facebook, they are they are suppressing. It's almost like we're broadcasting right now on Facebook, not just the Viper, but on Facebook, on the enemy's, not the enemy, I don't want to call them the enemy, but the contrary views site. They're allowing us to put our thoughts there for now until they take us down. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Dr. Naputi. This is interesting to me, but we've been stuttering for probably the last 2 or 3 weeks as like someone has their finger on a governor or a throttle, kind of throttling us back. And I find that I would love to experiment with that more. So I think the revolution has started, just like you said, but I don't think that people even realize they're in a revolution right now.
No.
Damn, I like this Eric Johnson today.
This is the Eric Johnson.
Eric, I agree with you. I totally agree. I agree that people don't realize, because most people are, you know what most people want to do? They want to get up, provide for their family, go to work, come home, watch a baseball game, go out and watch your band play every weekend, and have a good life. They don't want to deal with all this crap.
But now they have to deal with a letter, and we're going in a totally different, but now they have to deal from a letter from their school board saying, hey, we're going to be doing critical race theory. Now that just going to work and going to...
Let's not get into all that.
But I agree with you,
but it's
Eric.
part of the same fabric.
It is.
It's the same fabric.
Listen, here's the what if. Here's the what if. What if this virus was created in a lab, which, by the way, Tony Fauci said in 2016 that there's going to be 2015, there's going to be a surprise. It was 16. I'm sorry. 2016, he said there's going to be a surprise outbreak during this administration, meaning the Trump administration. He said that before.
That has been put out there several times, by the way, if people have not seen it.
Yeah, it was at Duke University or UNC, one of the two. And so what if that truly is the case? What if we had money taken from the United States taxpayers given to a lab to make a virus more dangerous and more infectious to humans, and they released it on purpose or on accident, quote unquote, and they used it to shut down the world and change the economy and all this stuff. What if that's true? Look at the facts that have happened.
It is true.
And Tabitha, I cannot disagree with you.
It is a redistribution of wealth. Close the middle class businesses, small and medium businesses, move all the money up to the conglomerates. And guess what? Once the money goes up, it never comes back down.
You're right. You listen, and Bill, look at all the stuff that they said about Gates that's coming true now. When people said, oh, he's Jeffrey Epstein's buddy. Well, no, he's not. Now, guess what? Yeah, he is. Now, him and his wife are getting a divorce because of all this stuff going on.
And she claims because of Epstein.
Yeah, because of that. So, you guys, we've been lied to. If you've been lied to once, like, I don't know if you've ever been in a bad relationship, but, a smart person in a bad relationship leaves it. I know a lot of people get Munchausen syndrome and all this other kind of stuff, and they just go back to, their abuser. But that's what most people are doing right now. And, Eric, to your point, people are walking around wearing a mask, not because they are supposed to or they need to, but because it's a political virtue signal. Like, that's what it is.
And fear, and which is worse to me. To me, it's fine to it's fine to have a political mask on or a Trump hat on. But what's even worse is that our government, our CDC, is fearing us. Because my mom, if she was still alive, she would wear a mask because she would be not Democrat or Republican. She'd be afraid. And that's even worse is when you can actually look at someone's emotions and then fear them into doing what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Man, that
fear
is
control.
bad.
And remember, fear is an acronym that stands for false evidence appearing real. And the only way to get over fear is to have facts, which we try to present to you every day when we discuss, and we do on our sites all the time, and then to give you faith in what can happen with your body. I mean, the truth has come out again and again and again and again. It's just when you hear the truth one time and you hear the false news 1,000 times. Did you know that there was a study that came out, and Dr. Sherry Tenpenny pointed this out a couple nights ago on a talk that she was doing, and she said, did you know that the first 4 weeks that COVID came out, there were 1.8 billion negative impressions upon the American people through media, like negative impressions of you're going to die, you're going to have this, 1.8 billion. Well, that scared the hell out of people. Then we shut down. We didn't know what was going to happen. We blindly trusted our government to look out for the best of us. And how's that worked out? Tuskegee experiment. How's that worked out? Big tobacco. How's that worked out? Opioids. And by the way, speaking of opioids, we were winning the war against opioids, against the war on opioids. We were winning that war until last year. There's 135% in opioid deaths in 2020, and no one's talking about that.
Why do you think the polls are so high for the Democrats still, for Joe Biden?
It's Eric.
Polls are fake.
Legitimate question, Vic.
Polls are fake.
Legitimate question.
Okay, here's the question. Here's your answer.
Okay.
It's consider the source. We've talked about that.
Okay.
Where the polling comes from.
I get very frustrated seeing Biden's approval rating being
because
at 55%.
It's not real.
Where the polling is coming from.
It's true. He's right.
That is something to think about,
You always look, when a poll is done, who did it and where the money is coming from and who supported it. It's
absolutely. Eric, you know what? My honest belief, and this is something I've never even said on the show, I don't think that we have heard the truth as Americans literally since JFK was assassinated. I think that was the turning point, and ever since then, we have been told nothing but lies.
So you think that the government said, damn, look, we got away with this. Look, what else can we do?
I think that he was trying to bring out the truth. He was assassinated, and ever since then, it has all been smoke and mirrors and a bunch of lies.
Well, June the 6th, they're going to tell us that aliens are real.
Exactly.
You know that, right, Eric? I mean,
it's coming.
Have you not seen that?
I have.
This is what you're excited about.
I am super excited about that.
And,
so
it is coming.
Yeah, we're going to have an alien attack that's going to bring the world together, one world order. I've heard the whole story. I get it. I at the end of the day, we've been lied to, and I get pissed because it's in my lane.
Together.
I can't, as a doctor, tell people what to do to reduce their risk for sickness and disease. That is illegal. That's not only against the First Amendment. That is against. I mean, I took an oath to first do no harm, and to help as many people as we can. Myself and other doctors that are out there, a good friend of mine, Dr. Vladimir Zelenko, got completely ostracized at the beginning of this when he said you should take hydroxychloroquine, zinc, vitamin D, quercetin, and erythromycin. And he's had a 100% success rate with his patients in Brooklyn, New York for the last 18 months or 16 months with this. And he got ostracized. He came after his license 2 weeks ago. He got nominated for a Nobel Prize. So I mean, just think about what's the craziness that's happening in the world right now, all because they're pushing an agenda. And do I think that the powers that be would push an agenda to cause people to die? Hell yeah, they would.
Yes, they would.
Of course
why
they
else?
would.
Why else is it in California right now? They are pushing these vaccines out so hard that they're giving away, what is it, 100 and $17 million in prizes for people to vaccinate. This isn't a state.
No, that was Ohio. I thought.
No,
it's
California just did it. Ohio launched it.
Yeah, Newsom just discussed it. But here's the thing. In California, I would assume they have to have herd immunity. I mean, and look, they have one of the highest percentage of vaccination rates. Why are they pushing us so hard to get a vaccine that most of us don't need?
Tabitha,
and we got a break.
Okay. We'll talk about it when we get back.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to leave you on that cliffhanger. Back with more after this on The Edge.
This is The Edge Morning Show.
Live on 100.7.
The Viper.
It's the grand opening extravaganza at Bentley's Marine and Electronics in Lake St. Louis. June 5th, bring your car, bike, or truck and show it off. Party music from 10 till 4. Ragazzi's Pizza and Lulu's Shaved Ice food trucks. And lots of prizes and giveaways. Midwest SPL will be on site holding a bass competition.
Let the bass go.
Do you have what it takes? You could also win the drawing for a 55-inch TV at Bentley's Marine and Electronics, June 5th on Lake St. Louis Boulevard across from Denny's. Contractors Flooring Supply is your open to the public U.S. Corette, Casabella, Neptune, Nova, Metroflor, and Mohawk waterproof flooring specialist. 12 mil wear layers with premium pad attached at $247 per square foot. 20 mil at $297 a square foot. Nylon residential super dense carpet is just $287 per square foot installed over 8-pound lifetime Mohawk cushion. Dreamweaver Frisee carpet at 99 cents a square foot. Contractors Flooring next to New World King in Warrenton.
Hello, St. Louis and St. Charles County. This is John Londoff Jr. along with my good friend and partner, Jimmy Sappho. Jimmy, folks are wondering how Johnny Londoff Autoplex has become the fastest growing pre-owned dealer in the area so quickly. Are you kidding me?
Sir, for over 80 years, folks have trusted your family to give the best customer service, a great selection, and the lowest prices possible.
And don't forget our free lifetime powertrain warranty on most vehicles on the lot.
Visit us in St. Peters
and at londoffauto.com.
It's all about getting the most out of summer. And with certified refurbished from eBay, you can enjoy 100% of summer with up to 50% savings on top brands. So tackle your to-do list and break out the playlist with like new products from the brands you love, including Bose, Works, iRobot, and more. Complete with a 2-year warranty from Allstate. Time to go full-on summer with half off top brands this year. Shop Memorial Day savings at eBay today.
Get a grip on your finances with People's Bank & Trust's new mobile banking service. You can now manage your accounts, check balances, transfer funds, and pay bills with ease and all from the palm of your hand. Activate your phone today by visiting us online at www.pbtc.net. People's Bank & Trust. Hometown banking the way it should be. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you want the best, don't settle for the rest. Come to F&S. F&S Collision Repair provides the best customer service, quality of work, paint color match, and paintless dent repair. They do it all. No job too big or too small. Just what your car or truck ordered. F&S Collision. Call today to schedule your appointment and get that car repaired. F&S Collision Repair.
Now, back to the Edge Morning Show.
All right, we got about 2 minutes, maybe a minute and a half before we got to get out of here. Doctor, if you can get through that fast again, because I interrupted you on our cliffhanger trying to talk to Tabitha about the question.
What were we talking about, Tabitha? I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
Oh, my God.
They move so fast, they just boom.
Well, you know what? One of the things that we do need to discuss is, hey, this thing needs to be safe and effective. And we don't know. And I thought it was interesting that one of the attorneys that did his deposition for this case that was filed, it was a cease and desist filed against the federal government on moving forward with injecting kids. He said there's not any long-term studies. And the opposing counsel goes, of course there are. And he goes, no, sir, there's not. The definition of long-term would be more than 6 months. And this has only been out for 6 months. How can you have a long-term study? Long-term studies are 3 to 5 years. It's just asinine what's happening in the world right now. And it's just crazy that people are, well, I don't think most people are swallowing it hook, line, and sinker. But, man, there's a lot of craziness going on. And most people just don't know where to go.
We were talking about the push to vaccine. Why they want us to get the vaccine so bad? And if you don't have time today to talk about that, we can do it next.
Well, I mean, it's political in nature. There's no question about it, because follow the money. I mean, look how much money we've spent, trillions of dollars, literally trillions of dollars, And then they what?
So you're saying that Biden is like a pitch man for this thing? It's like we spent $40 billion and we need to make that money
back.
back.
For anything, I don't even think he knows where he's at.
I kind of
It's the
agree with
powers
Tabitha.
that be, the puppet master, who is in charge of this program, and who the puppet master is. I honestly
Maybe
don't know.
they can get like infomercial guys out there. Remember the infomercial?
Yeah,
dudes?
like Mike Lindell. He's doing a great
Mike
job with
Lindell
some
would be
stuff.
great.
I love Mike.
But think about that: $117 million
My
in
vaccine
prizes.
guy.
They're
Yeah,
desperate.
$117 million. By the
they
way,
are desperate to get
guess
people
where
vaccinated.
that money comes from? Guess where that money comes from?
It was it COVID relief?
Yeah, it's COVID relief. That's our
Taxpayers'
taxpayer
money.
money.
dollars.
Come on.
Why do
what
they
are you
want us?
doing?
Why do they want us to get a vaccine so bad that most of us don't need, and they're willing to pay $117 million?
I think we're going to find out in the fall. I really do. I think we're going to find out.
What do you mean in the fall?
Well, the ferrets died. That's all I can say. The ferrets died. I think you need to look at. I mean, if you want to get this thing, go get it, but don't get it
No,
just
see,
because
that's,
it's a virtue.
don't say that anymore. It seems like we got to
The
stop
ferrets
saying that.
died.
It's almost like we have
Stop
to
saying what?
Well,
it's almost
people
like
have free will.
I understand the free will, but it seems to me on this show anyway that vaccine bad. Do not do it.
No, real
we try
simple.
to leave our
if you
listeners-
want to get it, go get it. But the ferrets died.
I
We
don't
try
know.
to leave our listeners
Can't argue
wanting
that.
more, and we're doing that again today.
I know. Can you come back tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.
Eric Johnson, Chris Knight, Tabitha Hassell, Vic Faust, and Fox 2. Sorry, we got to get out of here. Dr. Eric Naputi, you can get more of Dr. Eric Naputi on his website, ericnaputi.com, ericnaputi.com of the Naputi Wellness Center. Doc, thanks again. What a great hour of talking about what's actually going on. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye-bye.
Chris, I'll see you tonight for Fox 2 News at 5 and 6.
Sounds good. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll do this again Tuesday, right? Because we're not
Tuesday.
here Monday. Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. We forgot to tell people that.
That's right. 8 a.m. Tuesday morning. Have a great weekend.
That's it. We're gone.
We are done. Gang, show's over.
It ain't over yet.
Oh, yes, it is.
That was the whole show.
See you next time.
Bye.